Sp4zie and plenty.
Hello YouTube, Sp4zie going right at you. Welcome to another champion preview. Today we're taking a look at Camille, something like that. She has blades for legs and feet, which is really convenient when she does that breakdance. Surprisingly enough, she isn't that complex of a champion, so hopefully this will be short and sweet. I'm going to go through all the abilities as they are right now on PBE, and hopefully you'll get a grasp of how this champion works when she comes out, so let's dive into it. Starting off with a passive, it's called Adaptive Defenses. When you attack an enemy champion, you will gain a shield based on that champion's primary damage type. The shield strength is based on your max HP, which hopefully won't allow people to go full tank, as I personally prefer when damage-dealing champions are best at building damage. I'm looking at you, Echo. Once you've procced the passive, it will go on cooldown, and you can see when it's up again by the little icon that shows up next to the enemy health bar. The cooldown is pretty significant. Late game, you might be able to get 2 of these shields off in a long, dragged-out team fight, but generally, it's just going to be 1 shield per initiation that you do. Finally, it should be said that this is not a spell shield, so don't think of it as a Morgana shield. It is just damage mitigation, which is still nice. Moving swiftly onto the Q, it's called Precision Protocol. When you activate this ability, your next basic attack will deal bonus physical damage and slightly increase your movement speed. Then, after you've hit the first attack, you can activate it again for the same effect. However, if you do wait at least 1.5 seconds before activating it again, it will deal more damage, and part of it will be dealt as true damage. There's a sound effect as some visual indication on your character when you know that you've waited long enough to activate it again for this effect. And finally, it's important to know that both of these activations reset your auto attack animation. So the ideal use of this ability is to do an auto attack, reset it with the first Q, keep auto attacking normally until you've heard the sound effect, then land another normal auto attack, immediately hit the second Q, resetting the animation and dealing the most potential damage. And now the W, it's called Tactical Sweep. You aim this ability in any direction, and after a brief delay, you will deal physical damage in an AoE cone-like thing. Enemies struck by the inner part of the cone will only be dealt damage. Enemies struck by the outer part will take extra damage based on a percentage of their max health, and they are also slowed. Additionally, Camille is also healed for 100% of the damage dealt, and this will be very useful for sustaining in the lane, as it can be used on minions, although with a slight healing cap. Finally, it's worth noting that this ability bears some resemblance to the new Taric stun. You activate it, and then you're able to move freely until it finally deals damage. And now, the E. It's called Shingeki no Kyojin Hookshot. It's called Hookshot. If you fire this out and hit terrain, you will travel there and stick there for 1 second. And if you recast this within that 1 second, it allows you to leap from that wall. When you land, you'll deal physical damage and briefly stun the targets that you hit. If you aim the second cast towards enemy champions, you're allowed to travel much further, and you will also gain a nice attack speed buff for 5 seconds. Currently on the PBE, you don't have to see the champions on the other side of a wall, for instance, in order to get the increased range and all that. And yes, the recast of this ability can be used to travel through a lot of the terrain on Summoner's Rift. And before we move on, I mean, it's an angle ability. I'm a fan. Moving on to the R, it's called Hextech Ultimatum. When you use this ability on an enemy champion, you will leap to them and lock them into an area for 4 seconds. Your basic attacks will then deal bonus damage to this target until the effect ends. If you leave the area, or for that matters if you're knocked out of there with a Grag Assault, the effect will immediately end. Other enemies within the area will be knocked out of there when you use it, however, they can freely walk back into the circle afterwards. Let me show you how it works when you get trapped in here. Here you can see Lee Sin. He is trying to ward jump, but nothing is happening. He's also spamming his flash at this point, but the flash aimed outside the wall won't even activate until the effect ends, and he's still spamming the button at that point, so he immediately flashes. You can, however, flash within the circle, but you just can't leave, and this, I assume, goes for any ability like the S-Roll, E, ZW, anything like that. You're really trapped in there. Unlucky. Finally, the last thing to note is that when she does use this ability, she becomes untargetable, so she can actually dodge skill shots using her ult. And you know what? That's basically it. I hope I was able to explain her kit and potentially answer some questions that you might have had. If these videos help you out at all, feel free to award me with a little like, as that helps me out. And I want to say that she does very much feel like Fiora, in my opinion. A very fragile but extremely deadly damage dealer with a very crisp auto attack animation. And unlike Fiora, her E grants her a high amount of mobility as well. Definitely less about team fighting and more about split pushing or finding picks with her ultimate, winning 2v1s top while your team is getting a dragon, that type of deal. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy her if she does end up fitting the meta, but that is going to be it for this video, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time, and this has been Sp4zie, and I'm out. Do it!